Hello and welcome to a brand new experiment on the channel. Something slightly different today. This time we're going to be experimenting if the USA can actually win the World Cup. Now, of course, if you're a football fan and American, you'll know that the USA failed to qualify for the 2018 World Cup in Russia, which they'll be very, very disappointed about losing out. Well, because of that, I want to test if the USA could actually win the World Cup. However, in order to do so, we've had to change a few things, so I'll take you through those in a second. They're mainly in the pre-game editor, actually. I've not changed anything in-game so far using the in-game editor up here. We may do something like that. We may change things in the future if things aren't quite working out for us, but I'll show you right now what exactly I have changed. So we're now here in the editor, and this is what I have changed. Now, there's all sorts of things you can change here about the teams and individual nations and things like that. So America, obviously being a very, very big country, got a huge economy, the biggest economy in the world. Its economic factor is already 20, but what I've done is I've changed its FA financial power to 20 as well, which means the FA are going to be spending loads of money on different kind of things. Years to gain nationality, I've changed that from 5 to 1, so now foreign players will come in and gain their nationality within 1 year. Hopefully that would mean perhaps some rejects from England, for example, will come to America instead and start to play for America rather than England, for example. We've changed the game importance as well down here. It was unimportant, but we've now changed it very important because the fans are now going to see it as hugely important for the Americas to develop a national team and win something. So that's going to be quite good. That hopefully will have a big impact there. If we scroll down as well, I've also changed the youth rating to a maximum of 200. So the youth recruitment and youth development is going to be really, really important in America now, which is what we want to see. We want to see these great regions come through and go really, really well for themselves. There's also these attribute templates here which just change how the country feels about different kind of things. So ambition, we've changed it up to good. So the ambition is going to be really, really high. Adaptability, loyalty, this is all the type of player traits that they're going to be looking for now and things like that. So hopefully we're going to see a lot of this kind of stuff come through, and we're going to see some really, really good young players come through and hopefully win the World Cup for them. Now, there's plenty that I could change about the individual teams as well, but I've not touched them yet. We're going to leave things as they are right now, and then perhaps in a few seasons' time we'll go into the in-game editor and change their bank balances, how much money they have, the training facilities, things like that. We just want to see what it's like off the bat if we go for the first 2 World Cups, and then what we're going to do is then probably change a few things if things aren't working out quite well. But there's a lot of things that we can change, we just haven't done that yet. So the USA, currently the 21st best team in the world. In this game mode, we're back in 2017, February 2017, as the start of this season. So as it stands, America still do have a chance to qualify for the World Cup, but they haven't done it in real life. But hopefully they will do it in game, which would be quite good. So they'll go to the 2018 World Cup. What we're going to do in this little episode is we're going to go all the way through to the 2022 World Cup. So if we do find the World Cup, we're going to do the 2018 World Cup, and then we're going to go to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, or wherever it gets moved to, because it always gets moved, Football Manager. Of course, we do have the American League activated, so that's going to be quite good. We're going to see all sorts to come through. However, the American League, as you'll know, is very, very different to European leagues or just about leagues anywhere else, essentially. The only difference that we're really interested in, though, is how youth recruitment works. Now, these teams are all pretty good, but they don't really have youth squads or anything like that. It's a bit different here. A lot of the young players will come through a draft system, which is what we're going to be looking out for. So the draft system sort of works essentially in real life. It would be all the good university football players will come in and be drafted in, just like any other American sport, essentially. That's how it sort of works. Maybe we can try and find it actually if we search it. Draft, the MLS draft. This is what it is essentially. So this is more how youth recruitment works. So it's not so much us trying to upgrade facilities of the clubs themselves. If we do upgrade facilities, we have to go into like university teams and small things like that to upgrade that sort of stuff. So that's going to be quite interesting if we have to do that in the future. But essentially now we're going to go 5 years into the future of the 2022 World Cup and see exactly what has happened. Before we do that though, if you think this is a good idea, then make sure you leave a like and comment down below what you think is going to happen. And of course, if you're new around here, make sure you do subscribe. Right, we are back then. It's 2022. The World Cup has just finished. And as you can see, the USA have obviously been doing something right because they're now 9th in the world rankings. They've shot up there completely. If we go to history and go to world rankings, actually, we can sort of see where it's gone from 2017. So March 2017, they were as high as 21st, actually, but dropped all the way down to 49th by 2019. So they must have had a pretty disastrous World Cup if they even got there, dropping down to 43rd just after the World Cup. Or maybe just before it is. But after that, they seem to shoot right up to 26th again. And since then, they've been on the absolute rise, getting to a highest ever of 9th, actually. So they're doing pretty well for themselves looking at this. This graph shows a little bit of decline, but then perhaps the regens at this point are now starting to kick in, and perhaps the good quality regens that we should be getting through now, because we have upped the importance of football in America. We've upped how good youth recruitment should be and how intense they really see it. So hopefully the regen stuff should be coming through. I guess first of all then, we'll look at what happened then across everything. As you can see also, they've now got a B team, an under-23 team and an under-20 team. They didn't have that before. So that obviously means that the importance that we put into football means that they now have a lot more teams. The USA FA, what they're called, the US Football Association Federation, they've put in more teams there. So that's good to see. It means that they're really, really focusing on development, which is good to see because it's showing this experiment is starting to work. Right, if we go back to 2017 then, we look at their fixtures. As you can see, it didn't look all that good really. They didn't have a successful qualifying. They lost to Mexico and Costa Rica, drew with Honduras. Didn't really look too promising. Did they make the World Cup? They did make the World Cup actually. Didn't have a great year, for being honest there. Losing a friendly and then winning 2 and drawing 1, which isn't actually too bad actually, thinking about it. These are good sides. But they got to the World Cup, lost to Spain, got a very impressive 1-1 draw with Italy, but disappointingly lost to South Africa there. So they'll be disappointed with that, I think. After that, had a fairly decent run of friendlies, actually, only to Ecuador, so that's pretty good. 2019, the Gold Cup. Now, that's like the North American continental competition, that is. So it'll be interesting to see if they can do things in that. Obviously, you can see here, they've already won it there. But they beat Mexico on penalties. Now, Mexico traditionally probably are the best team in North America, so it's good to see that they're beating Mexico. If they can start to do that consistently, beat Mexico, that's pretty good. In fact, they had a very, very good year here, only losing 2 games, only to Argentina and Wales, getting draws against teams like England and the Dutch, and winning the rest of them pretty much. So that's pretty good to see, actually. If we go into 2020, had a very, very good World Cup qualifying. Had a shock loss to El Salvador there, I'd say, but they had a good World Cup qualifying, which means they must have done pretty good. The Confederations Cup that they obviously went into because they won the Gold Cup, not the best really. They lose to Brazil and draw with Egypt, beat Qatar though, which puts them in to the semi-finals of course, but they lose to Argentina there and then lose to Brazil in the third place playoff. So coming 4th in the Confederations Cup isn't pretty bad going, actually, thinking about it. And then a fairly decent end to the qualifying there, which must mean they qualified for the 2022 World Cup, which they did actually. And they got through their group, actually, top of their group by the looks of things, beating Turkey, Romania and Australia. Much easier group than last time, being said, though. They beat Poland in extra time, but then lose on penalties, actually, after a 2-2 draw with England there. So that is showing some really, really good improvement there, actually. I'm pleased to see that. They get into the quarterfinals of the World Cup. That is fantastic, and no wonder they are 9th in the world. I'm actually dead impressed, actually. They've had some really, really good run of forms, not really losing many games, actually, and only losing against like the massive team like England, for example. He says, as an Englishman, we're not actually massive. We're going to get knocked out we're going to lose to Panama in the World Cup. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. So it's nice to see them that they're doing all right in the World Cup. They've not won it yet, so we may have to do a little bit more to see what happens if they do win it. But let's have a look at the national team then. We'll go to the senior team, and of course you can see it's all set up here, the current ability, potential ability. If we look at potential ability, Pulisic is still the best player there, 164 potential. So no one has overtaken him. And he's 23, and these guys are 23 as well. So I don't think they'll be regens. In fact, I know they're not regens. I know Jonathan Gonzalez isn't. Weston McKennie isn't a regen, sorry. So he's actually playing. But none of them playing in America, apart from Michael Bradley in Toronto. He's still playing for some reason. He's 34 years old, blimey. If we scroll down, though, looking at the ages, this guy, Makto Miljevic from FC Nantes, is an American, 148 potential. That's pretty good. 21, so he must be a regen. Now, is he American? He started in Argentina, moved to the USA. Now, this is probably where it happens because we changed it in the pre-game thing, saying you only have to have 1 year of American nationality to then play. So I reckon he probably was Argentinian, was at San Jose for more than a year, and that means that he has now got his American nationality, and because he can't get into the Argentinian side, is now playing for America. So I think that is a perfect example. If we look at his information, yeah, he is Argentinian, but not good enough to get there, so he's declared himself for the USA, although I ignore what I've just said there, because it says he's born in Miami. So, I mean, I can't believe what I've just done. If you ignore that Miami bit, though, that is exactly what's gone to plan, though, with foreigners coming in and make themselves American, basically. But it turns out he's American all along, so we'll ignore that. Looking down the list then, who else is also a regen? If we scroll down to this guy, he looks like he's a regen as well. 133 potential, but doesn't, he's not going to be too great in the future, but he's got a decent potential. He's in the American squad, not had an appearance yet though. He's got an almost foreign name, but he's been born in Baltimore, so perhaps he's not then, but he looks to have a good career. Started at Baltimore and was drafted in. That's what I mean. So they start at these sort of lower division sides and then get drafted into the MLS rather than the MLS sides actually developing them. That's what I was trying to get at earlier, I think. Right, in the B team then, anyone there? No, there's no one in the B team, so we'll skip then. We'll go to the 23s, and Neil Rao, 173 potential. He's the best player that we've seen so far potential-wise, and is playing for Willington, valued at nothing. That's because he's probably not been drafted yet. He's just playing in like the lower leagues and we're not been drafted yet, but came from PDA, who are, I mean, they're Player Development Academy. This is what I mean. A lot of these players will come from these types of things. So when we go to improve facilities, it's these kind of clubs that we should probably try and improve the facilities at. I mean, they've got rubbish facilities, but somehow they've produced a guy with really, really good potential. So that's interesting to see at least. But he looks like he could be pretty good in the future. A few more of these guys look pretty good. A lot of them playing for Minnesota, actually. Another player here at Willington as well, so they must be doing pretty good. But looking down, he's the only guy that's really got a lot of potential in this squad at least. No one else looking overly fantastic, actually. If we look to the under-20s then, Luis Enrique Catalan is also a player who's 20. He should probably be in the under-23 side, actually. But 146 potential, that's the best. He's better than most of those other guys, actually. In fact, all of them, apart from the last one. But he could be a star of the future, perhaps central defender. Let's have a look at his information as well. Doesn't seem like the very American name, but he was born in New Jersey. So, again, I guess it's just because there's so many different origins in America. Lots of people immigrated. Obviously, it's a country of immigrants, if you think about it, if you go back far enough in history. So that's probably where this all comes from. But he had a pretty good career. Started at the PDA again. So, I mean, I'm doing it now. I was going to do it anyway to a few clubs now, but I've already made this mistake before. The number 2 on my keyboard is the hotkey for stop recording. So I was talking and suddenly stopped recording. But essentially, because PDA seem to have made quite a few good players, let's give them a better chance and give them 20 everything to make sure that they can really, really make some good players in the future. And they've got a more better chance of doing that. So that's what this thing will do. And I think that's probably something that we'll do to all the MLS sides as well. Now, if we go and look at the MLS, Atlanta United are apparently the current champions. I think what we should be doing here as well to try and give these clubs a better chance, if we look in the club details, if we go to facilities, I reckon we start to improve, perhaps not training facilities, but perhaps junior coaching and youth recruitment. So I think that is what we'll do. So I've just changed every single team's youth recruitment and junior coaching to 20 out of 20. So hopefully that will yield some more better regions in the future. However, I've also noticed that a lot of the good regions, you've seen a lot of the top American players playing in foreign leagues. As you can see here though, this guy, Andreas Bredelli, the Norwegian, 182 potential, and this guy also 160 for LA Galaxy. A lot of these really, really talented foreign players are coming to America, which I think is very interesting. I don't know why they can't seem to retain a lot of their good players. I mean, look here again, 172, Brazil, things like that. I don't know why they can't seem to retain 179 from Brazil there. The American teams just can't seem to retain the domestic players. They want to go elsewhere, which I found very, very interesting, considering that a lot of foreign talent is coming in to the MLS. So that's it for this episode then. Next time I'm going to go another 8 years in the future to the next 2 World Cups and see what happens there. I'm also going to increase the youth recruitment into some of these lower league sides that develop a lot of players. I'm going to go in and see exactly which teams are developing really, really good players, a lot of these regions, and give them really good facilities and a bit of money as well. I think that might help as well. Next time out, if America still haven't won a World Cup, I think we'll then give the MLS sides more money and we'll give them more things like that to try and help them as well. Perhaps touch on reputation as well. That could be something we could look at as well. But I think the changes we've just made there could be enough to get America to win a World Cup in the next 8 years or so. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you next time to see if America can win the World Cup.